Hi, for this episode, I am speaking with Kiren Maharaj, the chairperson of the South African National Energy Association. Kiren, the upcoming SANEA Conference will focus on key levers that represent the current energy system constraints. Now, the conference has a great lineup of speakers and topics, but what is it that is going to be the highlight of the event for you?
Nicolette, thank you very much. I think it's difficult to pick one highlight because we've structured it around many highlights. So we've, from the start of the conference till the end of the conference, I think we've got a lot of different perspectives, cutting edge content, and we've really tried to focus on bringing the energy sector together around some of the key issues that are going to give us a level of traction that can really get us going with these complex issues we need to address in the sector. So, if you look at the energy sector, we've got a range of problems. We're dealing with load shedding, which has some of its origins in history and the current, what we're currently experiencing, but also has significant impact going forward, not just on the sector itself, but the broader economy, employment, and all of the things that are important to South Africa from a nation building perspective. But you add into that mix, the drive for net zero by 2050, the just energy transition, addressing climate change issues, job creation, socio-economic development. So it is a very important sector at the moment, right at the crux of economic growth, with a lot of complex issues to be dealt with. And there are a whole range of issues, a whole range of levers, but maybe some should be a little bit more focused on than others. And that's really where we've tried to hold this conversation in. So we've actually looked at the conference from what we need to focus on from an enablement perspective. And we've seen a lot of decisions take place recently, like, opening up the ability to self-generate and construct embedded generation options. But that in itself comes with issues, permissions, authorizations, consequential impacts. And those are some of the things that we focused on. In addition to that, we are focusing on technology. I think we cannot have a discussion about the energy sector without looking at technology. So we're focusing on some existing and some new technologies, but then moving those conversations into, what does this mean for the future? And I'm happy to say that we've actually got a panel of youth that is going to be reflecting on these technology options. And, since it's probably going to be prevalent in their future more than the current, I think hearing from them in terms of where they see these playing as the sector unfolds would be something quite interesting. And it's youth members that have now formed part of SANEA's impact conversation, youth impact conversation platform, and I think making a wonderful contribution into growing the sector and creating some sustainability for the sector for the future. The other interesting part of it is we can't talk about any of these transitions and achieving this level of economic growth that we would see come out of the energy sector without focusing on people. And in numerous ways during the conversation, we've woven in the discussion around people, including having, for example, somebody like Nareen Khan, who used to be one of the CCMA commissioners, coming and reflecting on, how do we make this people transition happen so that it is legitimate, it focuses on creating a labor environment that is conducive to this growth that we seek. But equally well, we've got a few other threads, around people during the launch of our 5th risk report. That is going to be one of the big aspects that we're focusing on. The EWCETA has sponsored the risk report. So we will be hearing from the EWCETA around that specific aspect, to deal with skills. And that ties into the work that SANEA is doing on developing an energy skills roadmap. The other interesting part of it is we've combined the conference with our awards this year. We did the same last year in our hybrid event, in the virtual event. So this year, we want to have a little bit more face-to-face interaction. So we will be focusing on our awards again. We're lining up a good speaker for the awards, but equally well, we encourage the industry to use a platform to recognize key achievements we've got an energy shifter award, which looks at an individual that's really making waves in the energy industry, so to speak. But we've also got a category to recognize women, youth, projects, and as well as, academics. So I think that those are some of the categories that we focus on, but a broad spectrum to enable recognizing those key things that are happening among all these challenges that we have in the energy sector. There's certainly, we know, great achievements taking place to be able to move the sector forward. Mm-hmm. We've got an opening. The conference will be opened by the CEO of SACI, Alan Makoki Shlongwane. And I think we've specifically chosen to ask him to reflect on the energy sector and the broader commercial and industrial issues in the country. And of course, I think we know that the significance and the importance of that. So yes, a fabulous lineup of speakers, great topics, focusing down to some of the very granular issues like the impact on municipal revenue streams from all the changes that we're seeing in the energy sector, the strengthening of the transmission grid, and dealing with some of those constraints. And then, we cannot have a conversation about doing large projects and achieving great things without focusing on the finances. So we will also be hearing from the financial sector around some of the innovative ways to finance projects going forward. I think I've given you a long list, so I'm sure you can see that it's going to be exciting from the minute we start till the minute we end. And I really look forward to welcoming the sector and broad representation from the sector to the conference that will be taking place, and hopefully, being able to really showcase some of the great achievements in the sector through our awards.
Well, the SANEA Conference definitely sounds like it's going to be an all-encompassing event, and I'm also looking forward to that session that unpacks the South African Energy Risk Report. So listeners, the SANEA Conference takes place from the 9th to the 10th of November at the Gallagher Convention Center, and you can register on the link below. Thank you all for watching.